Sure.
from. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I already have my associate degree in tourism management from the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute. So I'm just
Okay.
looking to further myself. I was going to do it through UE, but they were giving me a whole lot of runaround with respect to exemption, some courses that I would have already completed. So I looked at another option. Well, my cousin did, and she told me about you all. So I am going through with it. It's 6 to 9 months, which I think is really good, so that I will be still able to work, take care of my family, and still study, and not have to sit down and think about okay leaving them to go to school, and I could do it here, I could do it in work anyway. So
Right. Okay.
that's plus about it.
Okay, that's good.
I want to be able to, do something further in my country with tourism, because I mean we are heavily dependent on tourism here in Tobago, and as it stands, everything is on a downward spiral with respect to tourism. So I am hoping that I would be able to revive some of our tourism policies and make Tobago back up into the tourism charts, because right now we are suffering with tourism.
Okay, that's good. Good to know that. So, in terms of what do your family and friends normally call you as? Do they call you Antonel, or is there a nickname, or is there an alias that they prefer to call you with?
Antonel, I have no nicknames or anything, just Antonel, or they call me Anto. Well, Michelle calls me Anto for short, but it's just
Okay.
Antonel.
Okay. So you prefer us addressing you as Antonel, or do you
Yes,
prefer Anto?
Antonel.
Antonel. Okay, that's
Antonel.
okay. That's brilliant. I know I have a few friends here who are Anto. There is an Anto Ryan that I know, obviously. So yeah, it kind of I don't know whether his name is Antonel, but is definitely okay. So it's good to know that we can address you that way. The other thing which I want to check with you is, obviously, thanks for giving me your introduction. So I can obviously this will help us to develop a bit of a pen profile at our end that we can share amongst the tutors. The other thing which I want to check with you is what are the best times to hold this class, keeping in mind that we have students in the Far East, in Vietnam and Greece and in Egypt and Nigeria, but just to look at firming up some sort of a timetable so that we are able to meet weekly at a time which is convenient and suitable to you. What would be the best timings and days to do these tutorials or these web meetings?
Um, well, for time, anytime around now, because now it's like after 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, so anytime around now would be fine.
Okay,
As
we can schedule
days,
classes.
I'm not sure days other people would have or have off, but Monday through Friday, well, right now I am currently on, so I can schedule classes for different times of the week. That's no problem.
Right. Okay. So keeping in mind the time difference that we have 4 hours between 6 and 7 UK time should be between 2 and 3 Tobago time, which should be fine. And then
Yes.
as of now, you're saying you're okay with Monday to Friday, but just looking at if you kind of peer into the future for the next 3 months, would you still be, because I know you're looking at a part-time or a full-time job, would you still be comfortable on certain days, or looking into, say, February or March? Is this going to change? Because then what I'll try and do is firm up a particular day and then send you a timetable, which hopefully should, allow us to have something as a schedule available for meetings. Is a particular day, suitable in between Monday to Friday?
Um, I could say Wednesdays.
Wednesdays, okay. And so Wednesdays, I will try and keep that in mind. And what we will do is we'll try and follow up this timetable. When you get obviously a timetable from our end, it will look like something like this. just to look at, somebody who's doing the course with us. I'll just make this a bit bigger. Is it visible on the screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so basically what we're going to do is, obviously, this is somebody who's studying, the batch which is studying level 7, and we have a batch which is studying level 6. So what I'm going to do is try and firm up some sort of schedule and then email that to you, which will basically show some, timetabling starting, next week till the end of March, just before the Easter break, okay?
Okay.
That's brilliant. Now, so one, obviously, we're going to try and see if, you're familiar with the system on this side. The other thing which I wanted to obviously explain is we've done a bit of troubleshooting today with hopefully join me, and it's not normally that temperamental. The reason why we chose this platform over the others is, because of the simplicity and ease of use. So typically what we do is when we have students, we ask them to go to this web page and then basically just click on join me. And what they do is they put the code down as you've done right now, and you're able to join straight pretty much the meeting. So hopefully this should be a bit more streamlined. And, I think we have about 3 or 4 sessions every day from the office here in terms of our center. And we sometimes do have a bit of teething problems, but, as you can see now, it's not being temperamental, and hopefully it'll stay with us, as we go along into the course. The other bit which I want to just put a bit of focus on is, this fact that you've got this specification handbook which has been uploaded in Moodle. This gives you the units that we are going to be covering, and also looking at, the content and the assessments. Now, if you have a journal read through in terms of the basic content of this handbook, what it does is it gives you some indicative list. This is something which we are going to make available, and what you will also have is presentations for each of the unit, which will cover the topic and give you an overview in substantial detail.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to assessments, what we will do is, when you look at most of the assessment for this particular course is based on a written assignment, which is, say, roughly 3,000 to 4,000 words. Now, in the assignment, keeping in mind, when you look at the assessments which are done, what typically tends to happen in the UK is that when you look at the assignment brief for a particular unit, you'll find that there are some command verbs. So in this case, when I look at this particular unit, which is finance management, there are some words like define, as you can see on the screen, critically, analyze, explain. They all are called command verbs. And have you come across command verbs before?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. So what I'm going to do is, obviously this is something which we are going to upload here on the Moodle. And what I would suggest is, at a later stage, maybe these are documents in this particular area that are only for, as of now, reading and basically looking at purposes. But at a later stage, when we start doing the assignments, when you start attempting them, these will become important, is because according to the definitions, we would expect that when you submit work, it is submitted in a particular format which meets the criteria of what does explain mean. Explain means you set out the meaning of it, explain the reasons, and then explain how and why do you agree with this or do you not agree with this. So this is something that I'm going to try and drop into this particular page here. And what I would request you to do is basically study this so that you are able to understand at some stage the meaning of these command verbs, and that will definitely be helpful from a perspective of when we do the assignment in particular.
Okay.
Last but not the least, at some stage when you start doing the assignments, don't worry too much about it right now, because stage when you start, what we will also be able to do is send you some drafts, look at the previous learners' work, get an idea in terms of how they need to be looked at, or what is to be looked at, and what is to be presented, and that will sort of an idea to get started, as far as the work is concerned. Is that okay?
Yes.
I will, while I've got this opportunity, I'm just going to briefly show you how we normally look at, assessments and how they look like. We'll try and pull out, students' work, if I can at this moment. So just to pick out something a bit more clearer. Now, when we look at, obviously the work presented, what tends to happen is, we will, as a center, we will assess your work and we will do the internal verification. Somebody will verify the work and your tutor will actually look at your work to basically give you feedback and bring it to a stage wherein it's acceptable to the awarding organization, which will actually award you the diploma. Now, what tends to happen is we normally will have this process which will be done towards the end, when you're ready with your assignment. So this is how it looks like, just to give you an idea. And there will be a sample draft that we will upload here in this space for you to be able to look at. And typically the assignments consist of something called, a cover sheet. It'll have an IV sheet, as you can see here, which is like a internal verification sheet. So just ignore the ATHE, this is a different body, but you have something called an internal verification sheet. And then what we also have is an assignment cover sheet wherein you have the tasks of the assignment given. I think we've had a bit of a issue with, obviously the screen here. Are you still able to see the screen?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so here obviously that as a cover sheet that you see, what we'll have is we'll have all the tasks which are given here, and they will actually form into the cover sheet here. And then the assessor, when they do marking, they put some comments on this side. And then what will happen is all the documents that we need to submit, what we'll do is we'll run it through some sort of a software, which is a software which detects similarity. And the software that we end up using is a software called Scan. So this is an example of the work which has been presented, has very little similarity with other work on the internet. This is something which is a bit of a careful thing that you have to look at within the UK, because when they look at assignments, they ask us to make sure that, we've scanned the assignment to see if there is no plagiarism or, similarity with work which has been copied or, paraphrased from other locations. There is something called a learner declaration, which we expect most learners to actually fill in, that it is their own work. And obviously this then gets signed in and scanned into, we send it to the awarding organization. And you get to see the work which has been marked and assessed by and given by the learner. So typically we make use of, most of them are reports, documents which are made in Word, MS Word, but in some cases you will also have presentations. And what we do in those cases is, where we do have presentations, we kind of fill in a record observation sheet. And the presentation essentially will be done, through this route of Join Me, wherein what we will do is we'll fill out a record observation sheet like this, which is filled in by the tutor while you're making the presentation. So you will have access to the presenter's role, and what you will do is basically make the presentation, and the tutor here on this side or the assessor here on this side will actually make some notes to say that you're meeting the criteria. And once this work is signed off, what we do is we submit it to the awarding organization, and the awarding organization then looks at awarding you the diploma. Okay, I will try and see if I can show you a quick, sample certificate. Now, in your case, you're going to be awarded by OTHM qualifications. This is one of the most recognized qualifications for travel and tourism across the world. And they are on the Office of Qualifications, which is the regulatory body. So the qualification is valid worldwide, and this qualification will or can be used to do further studies or progression when you want to take admission into a university anywhere in the world. So they issue something like a transcript. This is the cover, which is a diploma, and then the second page is a transcript, which will show what modules you have covered, what is the credit value, and you've successfully passed them or achieved merit or distinction in them. Okay. Is that okay? So this is an example of a sample qualification. It has no reference to say for example the marks and other things, but the grading is primarily done whether you've achieved or you've not yet achieved. So you will say pass when obviously they will award you a pass if you have successfully completed the qualification. If you've not completed, then what tends to happen is they will do only unit certification. That means you'll have achieved 3 units out of 6 or whatever it is. Okay. But what we do at our end as a center is we make sure that when we put your work towards the awarding body for certification, it 100% meets the guideline, and it is something which is hitting the criteria that they want to be able to see, so that you are able to achieve the full qualification. Okay. Is that okay? Yes, that's great. Okay, so these were briefly the 3 or 4 things that I wanted to share and cover with you today. The other thing that we've done is that we've sent across a welcome pack to you in the post, which hopefully you should receive sometime next week. That welcome pack essentially has a copy of the enrollment letter that we've sent you on the email, and it'll have a few other goodies that we've sent across from our end when a learner joins the center with regards to a particular qualification. Any questions from your side, Antonella, today?
Just on the indicative reading list.
Yeah, yes.
The books that you have listed there.
Yes.
Where are they available from?
What we are going to do is those books that you see, we will make them available just to show you. Maybe I'll show you another course. Basically, we will have a section in the course itself wherein these books will be available and embedded in as as PDF files, and those are things that you will be able to open and download. I'm just trying to see if I can show you. Yes, in this particular course, when you look at, for example, what we've done is we've embedded eBooks. Let me show you an unrelated course rather, to be honest. That'll be much easier. So what will happen is you will primarily see this as a folder which will be called eBooks that we will put together. As you can see on this screen, basically there will be eBooks which you will be able to see in the folder. So for example, somebody who's doing this course, what will happen is you will be able to, one second, let me choose the right course wherein it doesn't, one of the things that, the reason I'm trying to show you something exactly what you'll be able to see is because in some regions when we deliver the course, like in the Far East where the internet connectivity is not that good, what we do is we give the user by default an option to download the ebook. So that's the reason in some cases, you will find that when you click on a PDF document, it'll ask you straight away to download. But in most of the locations, what will happen is you will have handouts like these, which will cover the content, and these are also some things which you can download, and you will be able to download when you click on the arrow button here, but they will open up in the learner management system. And in some cases, the ebooks that we've uploaded, for example, will allow you to open the ebook within the system itself. And if you do want to download, you'll be able to download the books which have been suggested as resources for the course. Okay, so it will be in ready form before we start the classes next week for you to be able to see all the content for your course, because the tutor will actually open the content up for you as it goes along in terms of the course material.
Okay.
Right. The way I teach, I'm logged in as of now. I do not hide a particular unit or a particular module, and I let the modules open. So if the students or the learners want to actually peer into other modules, what will happen is it will allow them to go into other modules and have a look. But in some tutors, what they will do is they'll switch off some of the modules and only focus in on the modules which are running. So you'll be able to see the content of only those modules which are essentially running at this moment in terms of being taught to you. But you will see a folder somewhere in the top section here where my mouse is hovering. And that section will show a folder called eBooks. And for each unit, we will at least have one ebook which has been recommended by the awarding organization, OTHM in this case. So when you look at the contemporary issues in tourism, and I look at these 3 books, you'll at least have one book which will be available for you to be able to download, and that will comprehensively provide information on that particular module. And if you need other books, all you need to do is send me a quick email, and I will make them available to you via the Moodle, or send you an email or a Dropbox link from which you'll be able to download them pretty much straight away. So as far as the course is concerned, I want to be quite assuring to you that we will provide you the teaching, learning, reading material which is required for you to be able to complete the course. So at some stage you will not feel that you will be required to either go out and get a book or get some material. All the resources that are required for the course we will provide electronically to you. Is that okay? Okay, good enough. If you have any questions, my suggestion would be after today's session, I'm going to send you the recording of this session, which you can watch at a later stage. And if you have any doubts or any queries or questions, then absolutely feel free to ask. And what we will do is either reply to you via email, or we'll discuss these just as a recap in the session that we do next week. Okay. And when I send you the recordings, you'll be able to see them, in the video format. Say, for example, just to open one, this is how it will look like. So we are running a presentation, okay, and you'll be able to see, and you'll be able to hear. So you'll be able to recap the whole session at your particular, time. So if you're not able to do a session with us, I think what we will do is we'll try and rearrange the session. But in most cases, if there are other students which are joining, and we have at least one participant who has joined the session, we will do the recording and we'll forward the recording of that particular session for the others to watch and catch up with. But if we do have a situation wherein we don't have other students joining on that day, and so in that case, what the tutor does is they will not do a session, they will reschedule that session and make sure that at least one of you are able to attend, and then the recording is forwarded to the others. Okay? Okay? That's brilliant. So I will try and firm up this timetable with the tutor, whose name is Anjum. And what we will do is we will send you an email with regards to the invites and also the time. Try and fix it to Wednesday, which is kind of convenient to you, and between 6 and 7 our time, which is going to be between 2 and 3 your time back in Tobago.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And we are a small center here in terms of, I think at this moment, precisely about 150 odd students are currently enrolled and studying, between 26 different courses. We have a team of about 6 tutors and 3 people in the, support staff. You will get introduced to Upen, who's in accounts. There is another colleague of mine called Amrita, which might interact with you because she looks after the administration. She will be involved in doing the certification, registration, and the other aspects of communicating with the body. But in terms of discussion and interaction, I think on the teaching side, you'll have myself because I'll be teaching 1 or 2 modules. Most of the time it is going to be Anjum, who's going to be your allocated tutor, and there is a colleague of mine called Phil, who basically will be the internal verifier. So he will look at kind of overseeing the feedback and the teaching and learning, which Anjum and myself will do, because in this course he will be internal verifier as against, we switch over and obviously look after different courses, and we have different roles when we are teaching.
Okay.
Okay. Obviously, in terms of the background, I'm obviously the director of the business as well. So it is a business that I own and I run. So if you have any issues, any problems, I know Michelle, your cousin, has spoken to me a couple of times, and she's quite happy with the interaction